What you doing, Diggletdreams? You got Mathers back for more Vitality Draft League content. My team on this side, the Boston Buizels, up against Montreal Habsols, the Montreal Habsols, coached by S3W3. Did I mention this is week 3? So far, have not been defeated. 2 wins, no losses going into week 3. And S3W3 definitely has a very threatening team, particularly the Raikou, which has actually become one of the top kill leaders in the league so far. So I knew that thing was going to be a pretty big threat, but he's also got Mega Aerodactyl, which is a pretty big threat. This thing has dual Wingbeat now with Tough Claws, which is pretty powerful. Diggersby, also not something to mess around with, neither is Galarian Slowking, Aromatisse Diggersby as well. But I came with a pretty interesting and I think well-prepared team. I've got Pasho Berry Sandaconda, which I believe is right. It's the one that weakens water-type moves, so I can tank a Scald from the Raikou and knock it out with Earthquake. I've also got Lumberry on Tyranitar, so that if I know I can tank a Scald just from my natural bulk. But if I happen to get burned, then from the Scald, then it'll fix that, and I can get off a strong hit. Of course, I got Adamant Banded Dracovish because there's literally no reason to bring anything else. I think he had Araquanid and Shedinja, which were 2 things that I thought he might bring just to try to not have a Fishious Wren to switch in, but it turns out he didn't bring one. And I think Shedinja probably a good idea because I have Tyranitar as a Sand Setter, and Sand will just immediately knock out Shedinja. But I thought I was expecting Araquanid, which I think would have been a bit of a scary thing for this team, but we'll see. I mean, Tyranitar definitely hits it hard with rock moves, but yeah. Cryogonal making its first appearance in the league this week. It actually has a pretty good opportunity to rapid spin versus a lot of the things, because Aerodactyl and Kamo I think are pretty good rock setters versus my team. And throwing a boots on this, giving it rapid spin, lets it come in and rapid spin on a lot of things. It can tank hits from this whole side of the team, Raikou. And actually, that's one of the big things that drew me to it, is it has such natural defensive, or especially defensive bulk. It can take a lot of hits from Raikou. And, Aromatisse and Galarian Slowking as well. Plus, ice moves are actually pretty good. It hits Aerodactyl and Kamo super effectively, and Diggersby. And basically, what's the ice resist here? There is no ice resist, which is cool. I also got Zapdos because that thing is just too good not to bring. And then the interesting one here is I have Spike's Scarf Roserade, which is something that became kind of popular back in Sun and Moon RU, which is where this thing really reigned supreme. And the idea is that it's kind of tough to switch into, which I think it kind of can be in this matchup, or it might have an expected switch, like maybe the Galarian Slowking, and just going for the spike on that turn for free, getting that spike up and then just switching out. Yeah, so that's what I'm running with in this one. Yeah, so why don't we get into it? Let me put it on slow just so I don't get overwhelmed. Well, maybe we'll speed it up if it goes a little too slow. So he leads Kamo. I lead this guy, Sandaconda. I want to get my Stealth Rock up because the only hazard control that I see on this side of the field is maybe like a Defog Aerodactyl, which doesn't seem very likely to me. So that was kind of my first priority at Team Preview. I also have Glare and Shedskin on this thing. Getting Glares off versus the team is very nice. But yeah, first priority, Stealth Rock. He goes for the Toxic, which I was like, oh nice, I'm Shedskin. And I actually get quite lucky turn 1, and there goes the poison. So great turn 1 for me. Decides to get up his own Stealth Rockets. I just Glare. I'm like, why not? Let me paralyze this thing. It's actually really nice to paralyze this thing too, because it could be fast enough to outspeed my Dracovish and hit it with a super effective Dragon move. But now that it's paralyzed, it can no longer do that, and that's very, very nice for my Dracovish, especially since looking at the team, I think this is the one thing that could probably have switched in once or twice to a Fish's Rend. It has such good defensive bulk and natural resistance as well, being a dragon. Anyway, I decided to just get a little damage off with an Earthquake, just see what I'm working with, as he just throws off another Toxic. And that, unfortunately, doesn't get shed-skinned away, so I decided to get out of there, go into my Roserade. I do have Dazzling Gleam on this thing, but I know he's probably got a few switch-ins or two. Aromatisse actually comes out, and I was like, okay, Galarian Slowking's definitely coming in, so let me get my Spike up. So I do, and I promise it's there. I don't know why it... Hold on. Can I play that turn again and see if it actually stays? Okay, weird. I've seen that happen in replays before, but of course I'm locked into Spike, so I'm going to switch out. He goes for the Future Sight, but I do have Tyranitar, which is probably one of the best switch-ins to this thing, unless he's running, you know, a Water Move or Focus Blast, which I found out later he was running. He almost clicked it this turn, which would have been a pretty good play. I think I still would have eaten it, but it still would have done a lot of damage to my Tyranitar. So here, I'm like, he's probably going to try to switch out, right? And I have Pursuit. So I think Pursuit's either a 2-hit KO or just going to knock this thing out right away. And as you can see, does try to withdraw. I get the Pursuit, and down goes Galarian Slowking. So big Regenerator defensive switch into Roserade is gone, and that's huge. In comes the Komodo. I'm like, oh, this thing's definitely going to hit me with a fighting move. Let me get the hell out of there. Going to Zapdos with my boots on, and he gets paralyzed, so it worked out. Of course, I could just go for a Hurricane, but ooh, I forgot about it. The Future Sight attack, it hits me pretty hard. The problem was, did I pause it? I meant to, I mean, if I had been able to keep in Tyranitar there, then obviously it wouldn't have done anything. The only other one that maybe could have taken it on the team was Cryogonal, but the problem was that he had his Fighting type in. It was probably going to go for a Fighting type move, so switching into my Ice type wasn't going to help me there. But Zapdos could have tanked the Body Press, is what I'm guessing, as well as then the Future Sight. Obviously not looking too good, but it is there. In comes the Diggersby, taking that hazard damage, which is going to rack up. As I get my Roost off, because I was like, after that Future Sight hit, you know, I was like, not feeling good. Let me get a Roost off. So I get my Roost off. Diggersby, unless it's Scarfed, it's not going to be outspeeding me, but it is a possibility. As it does turn out to be Scarf, and it hits me with a big Frustration, gets static paralyzed, and then I hit my Hurricane too. So I could Roost here, but I know if I Roost and he Frustrations me, he's going to knock me out, so I decided to just knock him out with a Hurricane. And thankfully, I land both my Hurricanes, which is pretty big. But now the Raikou comes out, and there's no switching in on this thing. There's no switching in. There's no, I don't want to switch on this thing because it could easily substitute Calm Mind, anything like that. I decided to just stay in and try to go for some damage. But of course, it outspeeds and knocks me out with the Scald. So down goes my Zapdos, a little earlier than I would have liked, but, you know, what are you going to do? I decided to go Tyranitar. I can still tank a Scald. I have my Lumberry and everything. I was worried he might be Aura Sphere, but I was willing to take that risk, especially if I could maybe get a Pursuit off. If he wanted to try to switch out, that would be pretty huge versus this thing, because it's obviously not that bulky. The Pursuit damage combined with then having to switch in on Rocks and Spikes later might even just be enough to knock it out entirely, which is pretty huge. Does have a pretty good switch in Komodo, even like Aromatisse might want to come in on this thing, so I was thinking it might be good. Decides to stay in though and go for the Scald. Doesn't burn me though, but I do, you know, take it pretty well. The Pursuit only doing 31, but that's good damage. Plus the Sandstorm damage. This thing only has like 1 or 2 switch-ins on Rocks now, so I decided to let my Tyranitar go down. It's basically, it's done what it needed to do. It took out the Slowking, did some damage to the Raikou. What else can I ask for? And now I get to bring in my Roserade, which can tank the Scald, it can tank electric moves, all that good stuff. And I haven't revealed yet that I'm Scarf, which is pretty big, because I actually do outspeed this Raikou and I think everything else on the team. So I can catch this thing off guard, which I do. Knock it out with the Giga Drain and even get a little HP back, you know what I'm saying? So now I'm in a pretty good spot. One of the big offensive threats on his side is gone. He still has the Aerodactyl, which is of course is a big threat, but I do have Roserade, which is able to outspeed this thing. Sandstorm obviously will make it tank the Giga Drain a lot better, but I still have like Sandaconda at almost full HP, which is pretty cool. Not to mention Dracovish, which I forget if I actually brought Sandrush or Strong Jaw. But anyway, in comes the Aromatisse, realizing that I'm scarfed into Giga Drain, and starts going for some shenanigans. I'm like, okay, well, let me get in Cryogonal. I can spin these rocks away, stall out whatever this thing wants to do a little bit. It gets a little weird here because I was like, I don't know what to do here exactly. The screens are pretty annoying, but I was like, I could at least stall out these screens. So I just go for a rapid spin there. Like right now, I was also thinking, you know, I outspeed the Aerodactyl now, I think, at +2, which would be pretty cool. He goes for a Wish though, still behind the screens. I just go for a Freeze Dry, expecting one of the two to switch in. But just goes for a Moonblast there, gets his Wish back, and I'm like, okay, let me just knock off then, because I did have knockoff on this thing. Get rid of the Light Clay, which is nice. So I know that he's Light Clay, which means I know how long these screens are going to be lasting. Gets a special attack drop there, unfortunately. I decided to just recover. Goes for a Wish. Goes into Komodo. What did I go for here? I did go for a Freeze Dry, which doesn't do much with the light screen up, but there's only a few turns left of these. I decide to switch out. I go into Roserade, and it goes for Body Press, which I tank, and the light screen ends right here. Yeah, so I knew there was something there, like I had a move for everything. I could Giga Drain the Aerodactyl, Dazzling Gleam the Komodo, or Sludge Bomb the Aromatisse. And the problem with clicking Sludge Bomb is that there's probably a pretty good chance that his Komodo is bulletproof, which is immune to Sludge Bomb. So it was a tough choice. Of course, I ended up going for Sludge Bomb, which of course knocks out the Aromatisse on the switch in, which was pretty huge. I was like, there's no way he's gonna stay in and risk it with his Komodo. He's gotta go Aromatisse, especially that he was able to get his Komodo back to 100%. It's one of the only things that can switch into, Dracovish. So pretty good thing there. I've also he's got the Reflect Up and everything. Anyway, not that it was gonna stick around, but if he got the Aromatisse in on like a Giga Drain or Dazzling Gleam, then he'd probably be able to get the screens back up. But I wasn't about to let that happen. I knew my Roserade could take basically any hit from the Komodo. I'd already seen that it was toxic. Could tank the Body Press. I still had Rapid Spin if he wanted to go for the Stealth Rock. I assume it was like a Dragon move or something in the last slot. I don't really know. But yeah, so worked out pretty well there. Got rid of that big, bulky Aromatisse. But now, of course, he knows that I'm locked into Sludge Bomb, so in comes the Komodo once again. And of course I'm going to switch out because this Roserade is very useful. But he gets paralyzed there as I go Dracovish. Hard Dracovish. I was like, it's time. I can take a Body Press and then knock this thing out. Knock out the Aerodactyl. Let's go. Click the Outrage. Knocks out this thing. Like, that's the thing with Komodo. It can take a Fish's Rend, but it can't take an Adamant Banded Outrage. So down it goes. And now all that's left is the Aerodactyl, which does have to take rocks damage because it is holding Mega Stone, not boots. Decides to Mega Evolve and go for a Roost there, hoping that it's able to tank this Adamant Banded Outrage stab, but no, it is not enough. Decides to just go for the Stone Edge there, hoping for a crit, which I don't think a crit would have even knocked me out. But yeah. Outrage. I managed to get the 3-turn Outrage too, which is pretty nice because I would have got confused after hitting the Aerodactyl once, which could have then had an effect. But no, able to get the 3rd turn and knock this thing out without risking any kind of confusion. So down goes Aerodactyl and up goes my 3-0 streak in the Vitality Draft League. So yeah, pretty cool. Sandaconda ended up not doing anything other than getting Stealth Rock up and glaring once. But it's a nice thing to have in the back when, you know, there's Pokemon like Aerodactyl around. Yeah, the team did what it needed to do, and that's all I can ask for. So big shout outs to Tyranitar for getting that pursuit off. Big shout outs to Roserade for hitting everything. And of course Dracovish for finishing up. Yeah, so that's pretty good stuff. Next week, I'm up against Jose and the Seattle Marinis, which is, I believe they were the Season 1 champion of the Vitality Draft League. It was either Season 1 or Season 2. No, it was Season 1, I think. So they're definitely someone to look out for. And they're one of the people that actually kind of helped me draft this team a little bit. So definitely a lot to consider going into that battle. And then after that one, then I get a week off, which is when I'm actually recording this. So, I mean, here's the thing. I got a little bit behind in terms of recording all my videos because there's been a lot of confusion lately. My girlfriend has started working from home, and she uses my desk, the one that I'm recording at right now, for her work from home stuff. And, you know, I can't blame her for that. I actually offered it because it's more important that she, you know, does her actual job as opposed to me recording these little videos that don't really get me anything other than, you know, enjoyment. But I want to thank you guys for watching. Of course, I wouldn't do it without you guys. Maybe I would, but I feel a lot more motivated to create these videos knowing that there are people out there that enjoy watching them, so thank you for that. Videos might be a little sparse over the coming weeks, and that's just something I gotta figure out, but I just wanted to let you guys know. It has been, what, like a week or maybe more since my last upload, so just wanted to give you guys a heads up that it's not nothing. I'm not just losing my mind or anything. It's just the situation that I'm in right now, and you know, maybe eventually I'll figure out a more reliable way to get things up. But you know, it's tough because there are things I need to prioritize over making these videos, because it is, in some ways, it is just a hobby. It's just something that takes up time that I could be using being productive in, like, my freelance stuff or doing something else. Or so when other things come up, they sometimes do need to take priority over this channel, and that's just the way it is. If you guys want to, you know, get me to a few thousand subscribers and get, you know, a bunch of views on all these videos, then maybe I can make it more of a full-time thing. But the way it is right now, I enjoy the way it is right now. Nice small community that I can interact with very personally, which is very nice. It just can't always be my top priority. So that I just wanted, I didn't mean to get into it as much as I did there, but that I just, you know, that's it. If you want to, you know, talk with me more directly, I'm much more active on the Discord server that I set up, which you can check out a link to in the description down below. You know, go in there and you can just say @Mathras and talk to me directly. I'll respond probably pretty quickly. I usually check that thing a few times a day. So if you're noticing that I'm not uploading as many videos as you'd like, that is one of the best ways to get in touch with me, so I recommend checking that out. It's also just a cool place to hang out. There's a lot of cool other people that like Pokemon, and they talk about different Pokemon stuff. A friend of mine in there is actually trying to get an other meta Pokemon draft league going. He just mentioned this the other day. I don't know if you guys know about the other meta Pokeabilities, but it's basically where every Pokemon gets every ability that it has. So like Dracovish would get Strong Jaw and Sand Rush, which is pretty crazy. So if you're interested in, you know, becoming a part of a growing Pokemon community, then I recommend checking it out. And plus, it's like, I have a Twitter, I have other social sites, but those are, it takes a lot more effort to keep those upkeep those and respond to things on those than it is to just, you know, have a casual chat in Discord. So I recommend checking that out. Link down below, and hopefully I'll, you know, get some more videos out soon. I should be able to get next week's Vitality Draft League replay out, as well as maybe a showdown live or two. So I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out. Keep dreaming. A good bye.